Hi everyone. In this video, we will see that will the population of the world keep on increasing or is there a limit to it? Well, this was explained very well by Hans Rosling in his book Factfulness, and that is what I would like to share with you. In 1800, the world population was 1 billion. In another 130 years, another 1 billion people were added. That is, by 1930, the world population was 2 billion. And now, in 2020, there are 7.8 billion people. That is, in another 90 years, 5.8 billion people were added to this planet Earth. If this trend continues, the quality of life will deteriorate. After all, there must be some limit to which a planet Earth can sustain the number of people. So, does this all make you worry that the population will keep on increasing and something needs to be done? As you can see how the population has increased over the years, and does this make you worry that this trend will keep on increasing and increasing? Well, relax. In 2075, the world population is expected to be 11 billion people. And thereafter, it will not increase, but stabilize. Are you surprised? Well, it's pretty easy, and we will see how. First, let's see the population pyramid according to different age groups. So, this is the data for 2015. In 2015, there were 2 billion people aged 0 to 15 years. That is, there were 2 billion children. Here in the graph, each box of the bar represents 1 billion people. So, there were 2 billion children in 2015. Similarly, in the age group 15 to 30, that is adults, there were 2 billion adults. And in the age group 30 to 45, there were 1 billion people. In 45 to 60, there were another 1 billion people. And 60 to 75, there were another 1 billion people. Here we assume that the average life expectancy is 75 years and people usually die after 75 years. Now let's see what will happen after 15 years. That is in 2030. The graph for 2030. Now in next 15 years, those who were aged 0 to 15, that is children, will grow up to become adults. So they'll come in the age group 15 to 30 years. These 2 billion people will now be in the age group 15 to 30 years. That is, 2 billion children will now become adults. So we can write here, 15 to 30 age group people will now be in the category 30 to 45 years. So 1 billion here and 1 billion here. So 2 billion people will be in the category 30 to 45 years. And now the 1 billion people in the age group 30 to 45 will now be in the category 45 to 60. And similarly, 45 to 60 age group people will now be in the 60 to 75 category. And those aged 60 to 75 will die, since we have assumed life expectancy to be 75 years. And we also assume that 2 parents on an average produce 2 children. And this is pretty reasonable assumption, and I'll explain you later. So we also assume that in 15 to 30 age group people give birth to children in 15 years. So 2 billion children are added. So this makes the total population of the world to be 8 billion people. In 2015, there were 7 billion people. Let's see what will be the process for the next 15 years. That is in 2045. The process will repeat itself again. Those aged 0 to 15 will grow up to be 15 to 30 age groups. 15 to 30 age group will go on to become 30 to 45 age group. And those aged 30 to 45 will grow on to become will be in the age group 45 to 60, and so on, and 75 they will die. So and similarly since we have assumed that each two parents produce two children on an average, so another 2 billion children are added. Now this makes the total population to be 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, that is 9 billion people. Now let's see for another 2060 what will happen. Now, similarly, in 15 years, 0 to 15 years will grow up to become adults, and the same process will go on, and these will die. And another 2 billion children are added, so the population will be 10 billion now. And in 2075, the population will be the same as in 2016. Since each generation of 2 billion people is replaced by 2 billion people. But since UN estimates that the average life expectancy will increase by 11 years, so we can add 1 billion more people, taking the total count of population to be 11 billion people. But hereafter, there will be no further increase and the population will stabilize. I'm sure this would have made you happy. Well, there could be a few exceptions, like some people tend to live longer than 75 and some die before, some produce children after the age of 30, but these are very small variations to the big picture and don't make a much difference to that. So, but now another question comes. Why is it the population stabilizing in another 50 years? Why not now? Or why not before? Why is it increasing now and stabilizing later on? Like, what are the mechanisms behind the stabilization of the population or the increase in the population now? For example, in 2015, there were 1 billion people in the age group 30 to 45 years. But in 2030, there are 2 billion people in this age group. Those born, that is in the age group 15 to 30 years in 2015, go on to make the increase of 1 more billion population in 2030. And that is the increase in these 15 years coming from. That is, they were already born 15 years ago, 15 to 30 years ago. And similarly, the increase in the population from 2030 to 2045 is coming from the age group 45 to 60. There were 1 billion people in 2030, and in 2045, there are 2 billion people in this age group. And when this fill-up has been done, there is no further increase. So did you find the key to the stabilization of population? I'm sure you did. It is the stabilization of the number of children being produced. In around 1800s, there was each woman produced about 6 children, out of which only 2 survived and the rest 4 died. And so the population was almost stable. But around from 1900s to 1960, 65, each 2 parents produced more than 2 children, and around 5 children produced. And none of them died, and all of them tend to live longer, and this is the reason why there's increase in the population now. But it will tend to stabilize further because the number of children being produced by women is back to 2. And this trend has been happening since around 2000s, so almost 2 decades. We are prepping for the population to stabilize in future. We just need to do a little bit more of what we've already been doing since 2 decades. The curve of the population of growth of children has already started to flattening out since 2000. What we need to do is to end poverty, as this will provide better education facilities, better health care, so that people don't have to produce many children as an insurance against if someone dies. So we just need to put more our efforts on these aspects so that the world population can stabilize and we can all live in harmony with nature, make world a better place. Thank you, everyone. I hope you found this video interesting and got to know something new and how our efforts now will bring better results in the future, something which we have already been doing. We are already moving on a great path, and we just need to do a little bit more of that.